Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now. Welcome, everybody, to Haymakers and Submissions, the podcast. This is Dave Jasinski-Drew, and I'm joined by Michael Mills Chops. Happy belated Thanksgiving, everybody. It is November 29th on a Friday. We're recording this. We'll also be appearing on the ESPN network later this evening at 10 p.m. that you see on the bottom ticker tape that's going across. Chops, hope you had a great Thanksgiving, my friend.
I did, man. Got the folks here in Atlanta with me. So my wife and every year I try to get my folks down. They still live in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. I try to get them down from Pittsburgh for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We still got a lot of family up in Pittsburgh who always want my mom, who now is the matriarch of the family. They always want to be there and come over. But man, now since I've been in Georgia so long, I hate the cold weather. I hate going back up there for the cold weather. It's hard, man. It is rough. It's rough. So this year they came down for Thanksgiving, so we're going to go up there for Christmas, which it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be rough. It is going to be rough.
Well, I'm not afraid to tell you, we got some snow flurries going on here in the Detroit area. So all day long, nothing significant, but it's letting you know Thanksgiving is upon us and Christmas is close. Yeah,
that cold weather's there. Yeah, man. Yeah, but you've always lived where you are right now. How far did you grow up from that location?
Yeah, I was a good hour away from here, like
okay.
Northeast.
But you've grown up, and this is the only climate you've ever known.
I lived in Tennessee for a year, in Clarksville, Tennessee, actually, which wasn't, believe it or not, wasn't that drastically different. We had snow down there the year we lived there. Nothing like we get here. It was probably on average 10 degrees hotter than what it was in Detroit. If it was 32 here, it was 42 down there.
I got you. Yeah.
The spring started earlier and the fall lasted longer, but other than that, it wasn't that drastically different, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm used to it.
Now, see, here in Atlanta, if we even get a dusting, if they even say there's going to be a dusting, Georgia Tech in the city, schools closed. It just the thought of snow coming shuts everything down, which is weird because you see so many trucks and Jeeps, whatever, and people were like, well, I can't go out. You're driving big vehicles with big knobby tires. Why can't you go out? Yeah, a lot of people are transplanted from northern states anyway. We grew up learning how to drive in this.
Sure. Yeah.
But
so every time you get I don't know if it was like this in Pittsburgh when you were growing up, but out here every year never fails. The first snowstorm, it's like everyone forgot how to handle it.
Yes.
Like day 2, they're okay, but day 1, it's like we forget.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean. Man, yeah. But I don't miss that cold weather, though. I love looking outside and seeing all the snow falling, everything's white, the trees, everything's white. It's a lovely scene. It's picturesque. I do not like stepping out in it, man. Not anymore.
I hear you. No, I hear you. I mean, the Turkey Day was good here too. Almost didn't end too well for that Lions game, man. That's probably the most pissed off I've been all year, Chops.
Well, I get it, but and it's weird because my Steelers just did it last week against the Browns, just laid a big old egg. You guys pulled it out, but then again, you look and they say NFL any given Sunday, basically, you know what I mean? And any given day, anything can happen. Ed, what loss? What? 11, what was that, game 12 for you guys?
Yeah, 11-1.
So one loss through 11 games in the NFL, that's great. You'd hate to see, you don't expect them to finish with only one loss, and you know there's going to be losses, but you hate for them to be against scrub teams. You really do. And I hate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to call the Bears that because they're actually not bad. If they're just they're inconsistent. And you could see it. That's why they lost that game. I mean, they should have at least tied that game easily with the clock management, and that's why their coach was fired today. Unfortunately, that can't happen, and that's on the team too. Many of the players didn't realize, and they said they didn't know we had a timeout. You should have.
And here, you know what exactly. And here's the thing, and it's tricky for me because yes, Eberflus again, and multiple times he's the head coach, he runs it.
Yep.
Where in a lot of ways, like even today, he's being used as a scapegoat, and I say that because you can't fire the entire team.
Exactly.
Caleb Williams, you were the number 1 overall pick. Yesterday was not the first time you've ever played football. You know clock. You should also know clock management, whatever have you, and when things should be done. Also, if you rewatch that last 34, 35 seconds when it's going on, there's no sense of urgency even by his teammates, his players.
Nobody.
Keenan Allen, Komet, DJ Moore, that O-line, they're all veterans. They showed no sense of urgency. You can't put that on the head coach because to me as athletes, you need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you do something, you think it's some of the greatest players of all times, even they've been cut or traded. Hell, Saquon, you get cut, traded, or released. But so you're always needing to carry yourself in such a way that another team may be looking at that tape. You know what I mean? So even in the hurry up situations, they want to know that you have football acumen, that you can do this. No, that's why the Bears are a terrible organization. And it's things like that why Deion Sanders said he would intervene and step in if the wrong team chose his son. And that's because you go to an organization like this, it can kill everything. It can truly kill. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, when you take Justin Fields top, right, at the first round pick, you're taking Caleb Williams, number 1 overall, and everybody and their mother wanted him. And they're both having these issues. At some point, you have to realize the organization is terrible. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I get why there are some parents, you know, the way Archie Manning did it, the way Jack Elway did it. My son's not playing for you guys. I get it.
I hope Deion doesn't face additional scrutiny or criticism over and beyond what Archie Manning got, because it's the same exact situation.
Would you? Here's the thing, and I don't want to break. I hate to do it this way, but Deion Sanders is catching flack that a lot of his other coaches aren't doing, and you can say whatever you want, but I'm gonna just say the way because we get in the black community, he's catching flack that a white coach wouldn't catch. Deion Sanders is real quick. Deion Sanders set up trust funds for his players who had children. He'll let it in every press conference know he wants to raise better men than football players. You don't see his players getting in trouble off the field like you do Kirby Smart's. Do you realize if Deion Sanders had guys arrested like Kirby Smart does at Georgia, do you realize the scrutiny he'd be under? People are mad at him because he cut most of the players on that team when he got to Colorado.
Yep.
They were 1-11. I don't know how many. I bet you could count on one hand, 2 maybe, that went to other schools and are producing. And I'd like to know how many went to other Power 5 conferences to play. So you had a roster full of guys that weren't even physically talented enough to be at that level. And then guys like, well, why would you cut them? You didn't even watch anything. You didn't even let them work out. They had 12 games of tape from the season before. I know what you're like. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He turned that program around. And the crazy part about it is, here's the thing. There are a lot of people that are arrogant and ignorant, and nobody should be that way. If anybody's earned a right, it's Deion Sanders. And I say, think about that. Went to IMG, made them a winner. Was at Jackson State, turned that around completely. Yep. Brought more eyes to the HBCU college, and SWAC conference. Okay. Now he's at Colorado. In 2 years, they're bowl eligible. His guys don't get in trouble off it. And think about it. Deion, number 1, highest. He was a high prospect. You know what I'm saying? Changed the game. Made and Pro Bowls. He played 2 sports at a professional level for years. And let's not forget, he was the greatest cornerback that ever played. Yeah. You didn't even throw to that half of us. Now, he didn't tackle. He wasn't tackling. But you didn't throw the ball to that side of the field. So if anybody has earned the right to realize you can't even talk to me about it's him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but he is catching scrutiny. And I think he catches a lot of scrutiny because he's excelled, and he's got money and credentials that he doesn't have to play nice with the the press, and he can call them out when he sees injustice, where a lot of other coaches can or won't. You know what I mean? So
I disliked him initially as a young man because when he came out in draft day, they asked him, what about going to Detroit? He goes, shoot. He goes, I'll ask for so much money they'll have to put me on layaway.
You're layaway.
I'm like, cool in the game, motherfucker, because we're getting Barry Sanders, so it's all right.
I know.
A great player, and I as he's matured, quite frankly,
you see the difference. You see the maturation in him.
Huge difference. Good godly man too. It seems
yeah.
like.
Yeah. And it's weird because the good things he's done were, like you said, he made the trust for his players with kids. He's the one who went to Jackson State and said, no, we need to put these players' names on the back of the jerseys. He said, you don't realize the pride some of the family members, the mothers take, and the players would love to have their name on the back of their jersey. He's the one who put money and found money to get their facilities upgraded. They practiced on cow pastures before he got there. You know what I mean? So other coaches get big time gigs. They'll leave in the middle of the season. They'll do this. They'll do that. That's the way of the game. Lincoln Riley didn't catch hell when he left Oklahoma to go to USC. Deion Sanders, and then why would he leave the HBCU? Why did he leave to go to a white school? He's just dealing with things that most other coaches don't have to deal with. And when you have success, people are going to hate. But we'll see. You know what I mean? We will see. But that was a good. But it was a good win. It was a good win. You know what I mean? That you guys got yesterday.
Absolutely. It was what was strange about, before we jump into the MMA stuff. What was strange is that the first half they were up 16-0, but they had absolutely dominated that game.
Oh, it should have been worse. It should have been worse.
It should have been a lot worse. And to see the self-inflicted mistakes, the lack of maturity, quite frankly, in some cases, that they've already addressed, verbally, at least, and even during the press conferences, that you can't do those things and expect to win. So they were fortunate they got out of that with a win, but they're 11-1, like you said. They got the Packers next week, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, ooh, that's going to be a good one.
You got some MMA stuff to talk about, Chops. So what you got on your plate today?
Well, of course, we had last week Petr Yan and Davison Figueiredo, and it was a good fight. It was a competitive fight, and they both brought it. The scores across the board, at the end of the fight, you knew that Yan had won. You knew it. But I was surprised. All the judges had it 50-45, 50-45, 50-45, which means, it's same scoring as in boxing, but it's only 5 rounds in main event fights. All other fights are 3 rounds. So that's where you get your 50.
Okay.
I was sort of shocked that every judge had him winning all 5 rounds. And the reason I say that is because, yes, he was in control all 5 rounds, but there might have been a round or two where I thought Figueiredo was able to steal it. I thought he was able to steal that round. I thought you'd give him 1, maybe 2, but all 5 went to Petr Yan. That shocked me. I mean, that was a dominating performance. Well, scorecards, and he was a clear-cut victor. Petr Yan was a clear-cut victor, but I did think they would give, just out of respect for what Figueiredo has done for the sport and how he's always an exciting guy, I figured they'd give him at least 1 or 2 rounds, and they didn't. They wanted to bite. When you watched it, you knew who the victor was, but I thought it'd be at least, 49-46. No, it was a clean sweep across the board. Clean sweep across the board.
Yeah, so I hear you.
Yeah, that was it. And now we have PFL. This is that all the results aren't in yet, but the PFL championship is tonight. What that means is that with the PFL, they do theirs in a point system. So say like you and I, we're not in the same weight classes. I'm significantly bigger than you, but say we're in the same weight class. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you get for the win, you get 3 points. If you get a finish in the first round, you get an additional 3 points. If you get a finish in the second round, you get an additional 2 points. If you get a finish in the third round, you get an additional point. So if we come out and you tap me out or knock me out in the first round, you're 6 points up, right? Wow. 5 points if you win the second round, 4 points if you win the third round. It's 3 points if you only beat me on a judge's card. So say for sake of argument, you and I bang out. you tap me out in the first round.
Okay.
Then me and Justin go. Justin and I fight in the next fight, and I beat him in the second round. I have 5 points because I got the 3 for the win, 2 points for second, but you're still up on me in 5 points. Okay, you're
Okay.
so it does that after so many fights. Then it goes to the quarterfinals, the playoffs, and today are the championships. So they have all different weight classes, and in this, it is $1 million prize. It's $1 million prize, which you think you got Brendan Locklane fighting, right? He is fighting in, I want to say the 135. I think it's the bantamweight. So having said that, he's fighting in the 135, 145, something like that. And the winner of his fight gets $1 million. And there's 6 different categories, 6 different weight classes. So it'll be $6 million winners. But think about it. John Jones, Stipe, who hadn't fought, I think fought once in 2 or 3 years or once since COVID, he walked away with over $2 million in his fight. John Jones walked away with over $4 million in the last fight, where PFL puts on a good show, but these guys have fought 2 or 3 times this year, and they're walking away with not near, you know what I'm saying? With this person's only $1 million. You have to win a tournament to win $1 million. I understand these fighters aren't on John Jones levels. They're not bringing in the eyes that John Jones wins, but that still shows you the disparity in top UFC money and these other organizations that are starting out. Now, people love the way that PFL is going, and you're getting some older guys leaving the UFC to go to PFL because of the way it works, is that whatever. But when you got John Jones, who just, again, everybody's John Jones, he just made over $4 million for his fight.
Sure.
These guys are trying to scrap for $1 million. It does show you the discrepancies, but PFL is going to come up, and that's a good tournament because if you like combat sports, you definitely want to get on that anyway. So, and it's not even pay-per-view, it's ESPN Plus. It's on ESPN Plus. So that's good stuff, man. So that's really, we got some things coming up later in the year and next year, but that's pretty much all recently that I paid attention. Petr Yan and this PFL championship.
Got it. All right. Well, let's switch over to boxing. It's good stuff, Chops. And let's first talk about Oscar De La Hoya is in the news yet again. Go figure. But he apparently is threatening to sue Ryan Garcia and his camp for this exhibition in January. What's going on with this, Chops?
Well, basically, like you said, he put out something out on Twitter, Instagram, one of that, whatever it was, that they, as in Garcia and Apo, I'm not sure you pronounce his name, they're trying to set this up, and they were trying to set it up without including Golden Boy Promotions. And he was like, we own the global rights to his fights. But I could have sworn that means, and I'd have to read the fine print, and I would like to believe Garcia is smart enough to have lawyers to read this. Why would you, in the promotion of his opponent, why would you not have lawyers look at this, that, and the third to even announce this and have a press conference if it can't go down? You know what I mean? Because you think about it, Drew, we've seen other boxers talk and chirp, they want to go. And then even the talking heads or other people say, it's not going to happen. It's 2 different sanctioning bodies. They can't come to terms, this, that, whatever. But that is said even before they get to a press conference. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I don't understand why. I apologize. I'm not sure the pronunciation of his name. Mm-hmm. Why Apo, or however you pronounce him, how his people and Garcia would agree to this. And if De La Hoya didn't sign off for it, didn't know, who of Garcia's team said yes? Because if Garcia doesn't have a team and he's just like, yeah, I'll fight you, this, that, whatever, maybe he is as crazy as we thought before the Devin Haney fight. Because it's just, there's legalities involved. Now, I also know they did this in MMA when guys said, we'll use an exhibition. We'll use an exhibition. Reason being is, if it's an exhibition, nothing more than a sparring session, it's not on my record. It doesn't count as a sanctioned fight. Yep. You know what I mean? So I would like to think somebody's smart enough to find out a loophole. You know what I mean? There's got to be a lawyer somewhere who can find a loophole on this.
Much like you would have thought someone on the Chicago Bears would have realized yesterday that they had a timeout left. You would have thought, I mean, I'm being honest. It's like,
yeah,
I think people get caught up in the moment, man. And it's like, and I don't get it. I think they were so fixated on how can we get a fight without calling it a fight. And then they said, oh shit, we actually need to go through Golden Boy. And maybe that's, I don't know.
Well, okay, two things you said there. Number one is you said like the Detroit game. Don't forget that was 34 seconds. You know what I mean? So now, and if we go with that analogy, that's like you and I sitting here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just me and you sitting here in your living room. We're two Joey Pots and Pans, and we say, hey, let's see if we can call Ryan Garcia and oppose people, see if we can get them to fight. That's okay for me and you to say that. We're two lumps on a pickle sitting there. However, as soon as we'd call a Poe or Garcia, they'd be like, fellas, it sounds good in theory, but there's a whole lot of legalities involved. They let it get to the press conference. Hell, let's put it this way, Drew. Even if you say you or I said, we're going to get it Haney and Garcia rematch, and we're going to say they're fighting January 15th. That's okay for me, you and me to say. It's okay for me and you to draw up an advertisement and put it on Twitter, put it out there on Bleacher Report like it was that they were going to. Okay, but again, right? Somebody from Dave Haney's camp or Garcia's camp is like, fellas, we can't do that. Or we call them, hey, you're late for the press conference. Where are you? What are you talking about? Yeah, we had a press conference scheduled for you today. Well, nobody checked with us and nobody checked to make the legalities of it. So why are we even here? I get the mindset comes up with it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But that should have been ironed out before it got to a press conference. It really should have been to me. I don't get how that is. And again, there's loopholes for everything. The rich find loopholes on how not to pay taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Simple guys like us don't have the money to hire the lawyers to find those loopholes. So you better bet your bottom dollar we have to pay our taxes. But when you got more money involved, you got better lawyers, they're paid to find those loopholes. I would like to think somebody would have found the loophole that says, Oscar, you know what? He doesn't owe you. He can do this because it's considered an exhibition. It's considered this. It's not on American soil. It's not sanctioned. I think somebody can figure that out.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, and again, I'm just looking at it from a 50,000-foot view. And any contract that a fighter would have with a promotional organization, it would somehow have almost like rubber stamp language already in a sample contract that says anything you do with your hands or your, any kind of combat, it's going to go through us. We're going to get a piece of that, and we're going to promote it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't just decide you're going to do something on your own. I mean, even pro athletes in like football or any sport, they'll say, yeah, you can't be driving dirt bikes around and racing, because null and void the contract if you're caught doing that and get hurt.
You're absolutely right. So I would have figured before they had the press conference to tell me and you. I understand, you and I have text messages going back and forth to our listeners, our watchers who never have privy to. And I get if those guys did all that, but it got released. That's where I'm like, duh, what are you doing? That's where I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It's puzzling to me too. I do not understand it. Who knows? It's possible they did that and Garcia's so cocky and not, quite frankly, immature. Let's just leave it at that he was like, nah, I can do whatever I want. And now he's like, okay, let him go hang himself. Let him go spend tens of thousands of dollars on promoting this, and I'm going to squash him.
Yeah, but I would like to think Turk with that Saudi money could figure something out. Yo, De La Hoya, we'll give you X amount of million, 2, 3, 4 million just for your time. De La Hoya doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money. And if you don't have anything to do with this fight, okay, good. Golden Boy Promotions is not hurting for fighters in his stable. He's got And if your boy Garcia is coming back for any title contention, it's got to go through Golden Boy. So if we give you 2-3 million just to pipe down, go away, what does it matter? You know what I mean? But it's the principle of the thing. I guess guys are just want to stick their chests out a little bit more. Don't do this without me because I don't get it. I understand why De La Hoya is saying this because you just can't trying to sniff something in the bud. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand why the guys couldn't find a loophole. I don't understand why they didn't go to Turk to see, hey, can you throw De La Hoya a couple extra dollars just so he's not into this? Because it'll be huge. It would be huge, man. Huge if they could get it done.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks. I can't imagine this is going to linger that long because, I mean,
it shouldn't.
No, they're gonna get it figured out pretty quick. But my gut tells me the event ain't gonna happen. And it's just my cynicism over boxing right now, to be honest with you, because once again, Oscar's in the news because Floyd Schofield's demanding a fight with Shakur Stevenson. Why, in your view, Chops, is Oscar De La Hoya posted this?
Well, no. Well, don't forget, I don't know if you've seen it, but De La Hoya came out and said it's basically not going to happen. He's also shutting this one down because Schofield is on Golden Boy. And let's be honest with you, and you know it, he's not ready for Shakur Stevens. He just isn't. Shakur's not a knockout guy, but he's just not tested enough. He's just not tested.
Yeah.
And so De La Hoya basically told Shakur and his people, don't try to get an easy win off of my guy. Don't try to make, and I understand, Schofield, you want to believe, you should have confidence in yourself. You're a fighter. You should. But he's just not ready. He's not ready. De La Hoya knows he's not ready. And what it's going to do, if I'm Shakur Stevens, why do you take this fight? Everybody, whether it was Devin Haney, whether it was Garcia, you now see Keyshawn. You see more Boots Ennis. You're seeing these younger guys put Tank. You're seeing these guys on the come up doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Whether you think Catterall is a great fighter or not, he's putting himself out there, whatever. They're talking about Teofimo Lopez. They're not talking about Shakur. That a lot of people don't even like watching Shakur. He's a hell of a tactician, but he's not a knockout guy. He's not an entertaining fighter. So why do you want to fight a guy that you know is not going, it's not even really a chance of him winning this fight unless Shakur plans on totally changing up his style and getting there and trying to rough this boy up. But I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I don't know. I mean, Schofield, like you said, he needs more seasoning, even though he is 18-0. He's got 12 knockouts, but he hasn't really fought anyone of note at all. He's from Jersey City, and I think Shakur's from Brooklyn, right? So they may know.
It'll be great locally. It'll be great locally for the local. And if you want to put on a 6-8 round exhibition locally, do that. Well, I don't want to even say do that because there's nothing in it for Shakur. But but your boy Schofield has said he's demanding. Really? You think you got that kind of juice, young buck? Hey, I love the confidence. But know your lane. Know your lane.
Yeah, you can demand all you want. I could demand a fight, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen, right?
But again, we talked about this. Yeah. How many people? First off, it'd be on ESPN. I don't even think it's gonna be ESPN Plus. Well, depending on what happened, when it would go down, because it's still football season, so Saturdays belong to college football. But now since we're getting it's gonna be on ESPN, it's not gonna be a pay-per-view. For Shakur at this point, how can I say this? I don't want to say you can't do like Bud Crawford and only demand the mega fight. You can't do that. But you should only be fighting guys who are bringing in big money, who are definitely going to want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? That's me. I would think if I'm Shakur, because at this point, you need to do two things. You need an opponent that's going to bring it to you and make you shine. Whether win or lose, it's going to bring the best out of you. Because when Shakur can do what he wants, he can stay at a distance, he can move, he just outpoints you, he outmaneuvers you. Nothing that the average boxing fan wants to see. It just isn't. And it's not even the same as like Sugar Ray used to do, or Roy Jones, or cats like that who were lightning quick, because by the end of it, they were getting that knockout. Exactly. By the end of it, there was going to be blood. There was going to be welts on your face. With Shakur Stevens, you just sweat like you were just sparring. It's too different. There's levels to this, Jack. You know what I mean? And Shakur could be there. He could be. He's got all the skills. Every tool in the box he's got. It's just the aspect of you're not exciting. You're just not. You know, you're just not.
Yeah, I get I kind of feel bad for the guy in a sense, because he's almost being told, without being told, you better change your style and try and take chances to get knockouts, or you're not going to get big money fights. And that's a lot to ask of. That's like saying, hey, to a sprinter, yeah, you're a great sprinter, but we need you to run distance now. It's like, yeah, I know they're both running, but it's the different thing. And it's like, you want a boxer now to be a slugger. I mean, but you brought up, like, Ray Leonard's the best example of that, because he was criticized quite often for the same reason. But at the end of the day, most of his opponents got KO'd.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so it's interesting to see. I don't think this fight's going to happen. I agree. But it'll be interesting to see what is Stevenson going to do, because if he can't get a big name fight, which after 9 months of talking about it, now I'm getting the feeling he's going to have to take an opponent and carve them up on national TV and say, is that good enough?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Are you not entertained? He's going to have to do something like that.
I love that. That's good.
But see, here's the thing. If we want to see a fighter that's going to test Shakur, pressure him, have power, maybe be able to match his quickness, but it's got to be somebody worth it. Because if Shakur is going to step up, I'm going to step up. I'm going to risk everything. Oh, man. Yes, you could be asking him to change, but also, the fight game. If you're not a big name, if you're not a money draw, and I mean no disrespect, I don't want to call him boring, but Mayweather, when he started out Pretty Boy Floyd, he was taking it to cats. He was putting it on cats, right? So you wanted to see that, and he had a great defense, light and fast. So you wanted to see that. The older he got, I think just as many people wanted to see him was hoping he'd lose, as many people wanted to see him win. So regardless, whatever reason, guys and people were tuning in. You and I tune into Shakur because we love the pure sport of it. Yep. We're pugilist fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But okay, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Say your wife, do you have a brother-in-law?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's just say, for sake of argument, he's been in, I don't know, he's been out in space for the last 15 years.
Okay.
And he's coming, and he's never heard of Shakur Stevens, but Shakur Stevens is fighting. You're trying to turn him on to boxing and understand why boxing is enjoyable. Of all the fighters that are big names, is Shakur Stevens fight going to be the one that you introduce him with?
No, no, Shakur Stevenson is not the guy I want to have him watch. No, you're going to.
And I still watch all of his fights.
Well, we do, because in that scenario, I would say, okay, well, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a Floyd Mayweather clip, and I'm going to show you both, because then I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you some Sugar Ray Leonard, because I want you to see the whole package. This is a guy that could box, was quick, but had power too, and could and had a chin too. I mean,
yeah.
They were the total package, like you said. And so that's what, and I'm gonna show you a Mike Tyson highlight, and I'm saying, don't blink, you might miss it.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the Jake Paul fight either.
Yeah, but even if you were, like you said, to show the different styles, you could watch Sweet Pea, Floyd, Sugar Ray, Roy Jones.
Oh yeah,
and Shakur. You could show somebody all five of those guys.
Yeah,
and with Sugar Ray, you can show him running, you can show him maneuvering, but you can show him taking punches and delivering wood, being in some battles.
Yep.
You can show a Floyd where he's younger, where he's taking it to cats, where he's not exciting at first, but you start to see where he pulls away later in rounds, but he's there to try to bring it. You can watch Roy Jones where just things he's doing, that's just God-given talent. You shouldn't be able to do that. That's nothing you would ever teach a fighter in the gym. I'm trying to think who else. So we covered. So, but what I'm saying is, all Sweet Pea, you would show him being able, picture this being a phone booth, how he can fight and maneuver and not get hit, but he's still delivering back with you. And he's southpaw, right? So he's coming there, he can whatever have you.
Yeah.
When you have in Shakur, you can show, this is the sweet science where he shows you can get hit but not get hit, but you're not showing anything where he's putting it on anybody. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And all those other guys, there's great fights in there that tested him, that you could show, now this is where he's still doing his thing, but he's showing you when the rubber met the road, old boy was about that. And he was down to do his thing. You still don't have that with Shakur. So that's where I'm like, I don't show him any Shakur. I don't. I don't. Not if I want to get you into it.
No, but I mean, the one, and I agree with everything, and I agree with you. But what I would say to the general public is that, Shakur Stevenson is still a very good fighter, and he's got a great record. He's been a champion. He's a champion. He's earned a shot. Mm-hmm. And if you think that, whoever is gonna just knock him out, knock him out of the ring, okay, well then let's see it.
Yeah, okay. But let's not forget, Drew. And here's where I think I've been able to do this, and I see you're having a hard time with it, where we have to separate our love for the sport to what the average casual fan is nowadays. Think about, okay, I need you to really start thinking about this from here on out. Every fight you watch, start listening to where you hear sort of boos. I know I hear in MMA if guys don't knock each other out. You're watching a tactical fight, and you guys don't even realize what you're watching. And they're like, they're booing. I'm like, what are you booing for? This guy is hitting and not getting hit. He's switching angles. He's answering the phone. He's doing everything perfect. And you guys can't realize that's where I no longer get upset about that. Where you was like, I tell the public, he says it, whatever. I realize the public, I hate to say this, they just don't get it. They don't get it. So yes, you and I are still going to watch Shakur Stevenson because you're just hoping he's changed and he's going to be. But at the end of 12, and you're like, that's Shakur. It's very boring. He's very, I'll hit you. You can't hit me. I'm in, I'm out. I'm going to keep my head off the line. You're like, that's Shakur. And somebody else may look at you like, we just sat here for 12 rounds for that. Dude, you have no idea what you witnessed. That's what we're getting now. You know what I'm saying? So It is what it is about Shakur, man. Unless you got something else, let's just even move on from that, cat. It's, man.
We got to move on. Yup, absolutely. But this is exciting here. His Excellency has I like to just call him next. I can't pronounce his name either, but apparently that's what I'm supposed to call him. So His Excellency has proposed a potentially epic fight card in February of next year in Riyadh. This is a Dubois Joseph Parker fight. Better be a Bivol 2 and more. Talk about the other fights on this card that are being proposed, Chops, because this could be epic.
Okay. Yes. First and foremost, I get because they're heavyweights, you'd want to make Dubois and Parker the main event because normally heavyweight champ gets that. It's just always been. Heavyweight is the baddest man on the planet. And that might have been true when it was just boxing. Now, because I'm telling you what, you can say whatever you want. You put John Jones and Usyk, you put John Jones and Tyson Fury in a cage in a box. Just tell them whoever walks out wins. John Jones is winning that. He just is because he has so many more tools. But there was a time when you were heavyweight champ, you were the baddest man on the planet, and you got feared where you walked. Exactly. I'm gonna be honest with you, fellas. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you tried to make Dubois and Parker the main event over Bivol, Beterbiev 2, I think that'll be problems. I really think that would be problems to me. Because I get you, I give you respect, you're the heavyweights, but you're not the name, you're not the money draw, you're not the Bivol. So I want to start there first off. Okay. Let's real quick. Let's go through this if you have a quick minute, right?
Absolutely.
So we already Dubois versus Joseph Parker. How old is Parker? 30, 37, 38? Hold on, let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, no problem. But one thing I will touch on while you're looking that up is that I 100% agree under normal circumstances, the heavyweight.
Oh, no, he's only 32. I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. We might getting be his mid-30s. So we've seen his best. He's still at that level. Joseph Parker's actually lately. But Dubois got the belt only because the IBF, and we had a discussion on this a couple podcasts ago. So he's a champion by name, but he did not take that belt from Usyk. Right, that was stripped of Usyk because he didn't fight a tomato can or whoever instead of a Fury rematch, which makes doesn't make sense. It's contractual.
But the way he defended against Joshua, you got to give him his props.
Absolutely,
you got to do that. Okay,
absolutely.
But okay. So let's say we'd have Dubois
Well, I'm saying I agree with you. I think Beterbiev and Bivol is the
it's got to be number. Okay, but let's go with that, right? We have Dubois versus Joseph Parker. Okay, it'd be a decent fight. I'll watch that. Heavy-handed guys. We got Beterbiev versus Bivol. Definitely want to see that. And I want to see if anybody changes. So that would be a good one, right? Then Shakur Stevenson versus Schofield. We've already been through that. We there's no need for us to run that back.
Yeah.
Then we'd have Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz.
That's interesting.
Dude, that's better than interesting. But here's the thing. Now, here's the thing. And I want to play. I don't even care if your heart gets in this, right? I don't care if you can be objective as we're talking here, if you put your emotions in this, because I know Boots is your guy.
My guy, yep.
After Boots' last fight against Kareem, I don't want to say he was mentally broken because I'm not going to say that. But he didn't sound like he had a whole lot of confidence. That was his second fight where he took more punishment than he had before. Do you think, I hate to say this because he's not, do you think mentally he's in the right place to fight a Virgil Ortiz? Does he need a Virgil Ortiz to get him back on track? Or if you go off the last two fights, is he in over his head against Ortiz? Because it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. That's a great question. Well, first of all, Kareem is a fighter that still most folks in this country aren't that familiar with.
True.
And he reminded me a lot of Shakur Stevenson in the sense that he did everything but hit with power. He really did. He fought well. It's just when he had the opportunities, he marked us up a bit, but nothing of significance. It wasn't. I was never doubting that Boots was going to win that fight. I don't know why Boots is sounding like that. Is it because he feels he should be checking these guys? They checked him out in the 8th round, or so? I don't know. But Virgil Ortiz is no joke. He's got a couple blemishes on his record, and he's older now, but he's still got a hell of a lot in the tank. So that would be a great fight to watch. It'd be a great fight for Ortiz to take. It may be I'm not sure what the risk reward is for Boots. If he wins that fight, which I would assume he would, but it's not going to be easy. If he wins that fight, what is next then? Is he then in line for a big time fight? Because I'm not sure if I'm Boots Ennis, I'm taking a fight with Virgil Ortiz and not having a fast track to a big time, big money fight. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I got you. That's
the risk. I don't like that, but Ortiz would be a hell of a test for him. Definitely. There's no question. So I'd like to see that fight, but I agree. I don't think he's broken, but I think there may be some doubt. He may feel like he should have put Kareem out both fights and he wasn't able to do it, but you got to give the man his credit too. I mean, Kareem's a good fighter. I mean, we didn't see a lot of him here in the States, but he's a good fighter. But again, much like Stevenson, not heavy-handed. Not heavy-handed.
I know. But Boots has the tools. But we have seen him take more shots in the last two fights than he ever has before. So I don't know if that means I don't know if it's a big deal, no deal, little deal. I don't know. I don't know. But I would like to see that, and I'd like to believe he's earned the right to show people, yo, don't worry about how I looked. I got the win. That's all that matters. I got the win. Now, the other one, we had Zhang versus Agat Kabil Hariga. Okay. Zhang is what? He's in his last five fights. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. 3-2-1 with a draw in his last 6, right? And he lost to Joseph Parker and Hergovic, right? Right? He lost. Now, he did beat Deontay Wilder and beat Joe Joyce twice. He was ranked higher than Joe Joyce, and this guy's 41.
Yeah.
But he throws heavy. Now, Agat is 32, which, depending on who you talk to, 31 to 34 could be prime years for a boxer because you know what I'm saying? So he could still be at his prime, but he's relatively, I don't want to say unheard of, but he hasn't fought a lot of big names. You know what I mean? So this could, and I hate to say, this could be the coming out party when you're fighting a 41-year-old fighter, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So, but now, here's the crazy part. So let me ask you this. How would you feel about Diao Zhang and Agat Kabal? Would you like to see that one?
On a card like that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
But not as a as a like not
First
as a
first fight.
event, yeah, or not as
First
a
fight.
yeah, exactly. First fight,
First fight
absolutely.
on the card. First fight on the card. Because it's heavyweight, there's leather thrown, and anything could happen. Right.
Yep.
So, but I think we're both in agreement that Shakur Stevenson Schofield is the last one we'd want to see. Why don't you go after, the your boy Zapata said he hurt his hand, so I think he'd be out for Shakur. But Keyshawn Davis would be a good one. You know what I'm saying? And that young buck Abdullah Mason, who we still think is nice. That would be a good one. Two young bucks. Somebody's always got to go.
Mason, I want to see have a few more fights because I thought that last fight he took, I mean, he got knocked down. He took a lot of hits, and I don't like that because everyone's got a puncher's chance, and if you give Stevenson a puncher's chance, he's gonna put your lights out. I don't like that, but the Keyshawn Davis fight, now that's really interesting. I would love to see that fight.
Shakur has more ring knowledge than Abdullah. Abdullah's still young. He's only 21. He's young. But I don't know if I'd give Shakur a puncher's chance to knocking him out. I don't see him knocking him out. Outpointing him, yes, but knocking him out. You know what I mean? So, But here's the thing. You do realize, Drew, none of these fights have been signed yet.
Yeah.
That's how hungry we are as fans, true pugilist fans, for a good card and a good fight. These fights, everybody's talking about this on February 22nd, February 22nd in Saudi. Two things, like I said. Number one, none of these fights have been signed. Two, but it shows these Saudis are trying to bring it. They want to get busy. And they want to show everybody we're serious about this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then if they do, De La Hoya, but I'd like to see if that puts a dent in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody goes to Vegas. But when these Saudis start bringing out big money and paying these big purses, I'm interested. Hey, they did it to the golf tournament. They did. Live Golf changed everything. So we could definitely see. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
You're right about that.
Yeah, we could definitely see what could go down on this, and potentially this could be one of the best cards we've ever seen. Potentially.
I mean, you're going 5-6 deep on a card. That's awesome. And then have a co-main event like Beterbiev Bivol. Oh man, I mean that's just fantastic. Plus Dubois and Parker, like you said, that's good stuff. I could see, just one quick thought before we move off of this topic. One thing I could see is if this were all to go down, and if Zhang wins and Dubois also wins, that could set up a fight with Zhang and Dubois in September, October.
You'd have to give him that. But you notice you said October, right? You said October.
Yeah.
How long ago did Joshua and Dubois fight? 2 months ago? 2-3 months ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't.
It'd be about 6 months. That if it goes down in February, it would be about 5 to 6 months that he would be off.
Let me look at that, because what I'm asking is, you figure, right? And the Saudis are showing you, man, if they want to do this and they're trying to get all this, he beat Joshua in September 21st. So we're barely 2 months past it. So fought in September, we're trying to get you to fight again in February 22nd. So you figure September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 5 months.
Yep.
So the Saudis are like, we want big time turnarounds and fast, right?
Yep.
So if you fight here in February, we might try to get you in June or July, or August, maybe like August. They might not push you out till October. However, if the Saudis are trying to make this one of their first best cards, are they trying to do this for every card? And they're different weights, because a lot of times cards are middleweight heavy. They're bantamweight heavy. They're heavyweight heavy. They have a lot of fighters that are in one weight class on the same card.
Yeah.
If the Saudis are like, we want big names, don't care about the weight classes, Drew, this could change boxing. I hate to say change boxing. That might be a bit dramatic, but it could damn sure bring back the excitement the guys like us are looking for, and could bring in more casual fans. And I would also think this, because before you would think, You've got 5 or 6 good fights on this card. Why don't you break it up so you have 2 or 3 good fights on this card, 2 or 3 good fights on a card down the road? But if the Saudis' mindset is, we want to bring you this type card every week or every month, every X amount of, because don't forget, you haven't touched any, there's more bantamweights out there, lightweights, super flyweights. There's a whole lot of other fights out there that could be made for the next card. You know what I'm saying? There's more heavyweights out there. So if this is the Saudis' mindset that this is how we're going to do fights and every card is going to be stacked like this, it could be good. It could be something, baby.
It could. We could have a whole episode on this, on the business side of this stuff. There's no question, but it would be a hell of a card. I'll say that. And I don't think it would be the best ever because there's been better fights, obviously. But it could be the deepest. It could be the deepest. One, at least certainly in recent times. But hey, we got one more thing we wanted to touch on before we had a quick subject we wanted to hit right at the end here because we're about 9 minutes left in our show here, but. Real quick, we heard that Wladmir Klitschko was contemplating a comeback at age 48 and to challenge Daniel Dubois, but now that's off the mark. Thoughts on that? That would have been interesting, but apparently it's not going to happen. What do you think?
I was reading more into it. And the first thing I thought, 48, what was George Foreman, 42, 43 when he started his, a little bit younger? I don't remember. I want to say it's about 42, 43 when he started his comeback.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit younger. All right. Foreman was the heavy hitter. And with his defense, Foreman was never hard to find. He stood there like this, stood right in front of you. So you really couldn't hurt him, right? He didn't take a lot of shots. But I really think what did this end, and people were like, we can't do this, was the Paul Tyson fight because they're catching too much flack. And I understand Tyson's 58. You know what I'm saying? But in his 10 years, Klitschko's senior. But I think people are like, we can't. And we're seeing some of these heavyweights, Dubois and Ngannou, they're knocking out cats viciously in their age and weight class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't care. Klitschko, he was always built like a statue or cartoon figure. So he could still be in great shape to look at him. But you're 48. So you might be great, shape. You might be in great shape for the bods at the local barbecue, or when you go to your son's school and this, that, whatever. But you're not built for a Mr. Olympia because that's different at their young age. And these guys playing at 32, 34, whatever have you, 30 years old, that's not what you do. We just talked about Zhang at 41. You're still 7 years younger than Klitschko. And you've been continuing fighting. Klitschko hasn't fought since 2017 or something like that. It's been some years. Some years. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad it's been put to bed. And like I said, because there's certain things, man, if you do realize you don't see anybody coming out of retirement in basketball. You don't see guys coming out of retirement in football where you have to go toe to toe with these younger athletes. Father Time's undefeated, brother. It's undefeated for a reason. I'm glad it's not going down. I'm really not.
I am too. I think he's a Hall of Famer, a great fighter, great champion. No need to tarnish that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we wanted to touch on. We were going to spend more time on this originally, but we got talking. There's some good stuff going on. So, but that's cool. But we wanted to touch on the fights. The first fight that we can remember, each of us, that kind of hooked us on the sports. Like, okay, this is now I'm a boxing fan. And I'll lead off with
I want to hear what you got. Yeah.
So I got the Leonard Hearns one from 1981. That was the first fight. I did see it, not live, but I saw it weeks after because Tommy Hearns being from Detroit, that was he's the guy, and it was a sad day, Chops. I remember being very, very despondent, knowing that seeing that he had the fight almost in hand, and hearing Angelo Dundee yelling at Leonard in the corner, "You're blowing it, son! You're blowing it!" And that's what a good corner man does, because Leonard took it to heart and then took it to Hearns and almost knocked him out of the ring. So that was the one that really hooked me. We didn't get the rematch till 1989, unfortunately, and that one didn't end the way it should have either, even though it was a very good fight. But now I saw fights before this, Chops, but not I mean, I liked it, but I didn't fully grasp it. I was like 6.5, 7 years old almost when this one went down, and that's when I was like, okay, now I'm in. So that's the one I picked.
I got you. And you said a couple. You said something. First off, I'm going to go back to the cornerman. Then we said you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. Michael Moore fighting Foreman. Atlas is in this corner. You got to give it all you got. Give it all you got. You're going to hate yourself in the morning. You're going to hate yourself in the morning. And he comes out and knocks him out. I mean, no. Foreman got no. That's when Foreman knocked out Michael Moore. But I want to say that was the fight, though, when he's telling – wasn't that Atlas telling –
I thought it was the Foreman fight because he got his cell phone out. He said, I'm going to call your son, tell him how you're quitting.
Yeah. And I thought that's what he was saying to Michael Moore, right? I thought so. I would. That's what we should do one day. Let's try to think of our top 4 or 5 when you hear the cornerman in there, because you know what I'm saying. Come on, I like that. Or just top 5 things a cornerman's ever done. Like when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, his corner didn't even have an end swell. Didn't even have an end swell in his. I mean, that stuff like that you don't forget. Well, mine, Duran. Sugar Ray. And like you said, it was not live, because back then, don't forget, they did pay-per-view. Like you had to go to the movie theater or wherever and pay to get in. They didn't do it at bars. I was a kid anyway. I couldn't have got whatever have you. They showed it a month later, like on ABC Wild World Sports. And I guess I had heard who won, because I remember watching seeing a fight, my dad watching this, that, and the third, whatever. But like when this was on, I remember my dad and a couple of my uncles, they're sitting back chilling. They're like, hey, oh my goodness, what is he doing? What's going on? And I wasn't really watching. They're sipping on some old half blue ribbon or some old beer back then, right? And they're down in the game room. So I started watching it. And that was the setting. My dad and my uncles, and they're going, come on, hit him. What are you doing? What are you doing? You got to catch it. You got to eat that. Oh, that's a good shot. Oh, and I'm hearing that. And that was the first one that really got me into it. I was like, wow. And it goes, 15? That was a 15 rounder.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, no, I can't believe, he got it. They're going to have to be a rematch. That fight was great. Because again, the winner had been announced, but you and I wasn't paying attention. I was a kid. You know what I mean? I wasn't even, it was 8 or 9 years old, right? Whatever. So at that point, number one. Number two, there was no Twitter. There was nothing like that to where we could get social media to find out who won. They weren't showing clips on the internet. We didn't have any of that, but you know what I'm saying? So that to me was where it's like I'm watching it for the first time. I didn't know. It didn't hit me to where this is not live, but that's the one. And they're all sitting in the chair. My dad, every man had a chair that he loves, that he sits with. I remember every one of my friends' dads, and even some of my friends still have that chair that is their chair. Now, I have a seat in my house that is my seat. My wife has one of hers. But the one chair and that is the rocker, the recliner, that's not my chair. It sits directly in front of it. That's not mine. That's just not it. But I remember my dad's recliner, one uncle here, another uncle there, and I'm sitting, with my legs crossed, sitting on the floor, just sitting there watching up at the TV, whatever have you. And it was like they'd get a beer. I'm gonna go get a ginger. I'm getting a Coke. I'm getting a Pepsi. And that was it, man. That's what brought me in. And I didn't know that it wasn't live. I didn't know who the winner was. Nobody ruined it for you. You know what I mean? So it was good stuff. But yeah. It was good stuff. And then back then, in our houses where I'm from, houses only have really one bathroom. So I remember, like, between rounds, my dad get up and go to the bathroom. My uncle run outside. He'd go outside and then come back in. I'm like, are you ready? You ready? Yeah. Hey, grab me a cold one. Like, yeah. And that's what it was, man. That's what got me started on it.
That's awesome.
That's what got me started in the boxing. I love it, man. Now, I remember being a kid and my dad having a Wild World of Sports on and Ali fighting and whatever, but I wasn't really into it, But yeah, that's the fight that got me into it, because it was almost like the first official, for lack of a better term, fight party I'd ever been to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man.
Real cool. Yeah. Ali Spinks, Leon Spinks in '78. I remember that, but I was still too young to really understand it. So I knew who Ali was. I definitely knew you and what he did, but I just didn't understand it yet.
because Leon upset him. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember my uncles and dads talking about that, but I didn't really get into it. You know what I mean? Like you, I didn't get into it.
Yep. Hey, great talking combat sports as always with you, Chops. Thank you, everybody, for watching, subscribing. We appreciate you all. Check us out tonight, Friday night, 10 p.m. ESPN Network, every week on ESPN Network at 10 p.m. So for Chops, I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HaySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.